So Apex Legends is losing players. That's not something we want to hear, but every single time I scroll through YouTube videos on the comment sections or I go on Reddit, I see more and more people saying why they've left Apex and why the game just isn't as fun as it used to be. This also isn't just my opinion, because if we look at the Season 15 launch compared to Season 14, Season 15 launched with about 100,000 less players than the previous season, which obviously does give us some kind of indication that players are not coming back to the game. Now, even though Apex still has a very healthy and successful fan base, the question still comes up. Why are so many people leaving Apex? I'm gonna give you guys 3 reasons as to why I think this is, but also if you guys are watching this video right now and you recently left Apex or you don't play Apex as much as you used to, leave a comment down below and tell me why. I actually want to use that feedback in a future video, so don't be shy. If you actually quit Apex or you just don't play as much, leave a comment down below and tell me what caused you to stop playing Apex or just not play Apex as much. Alright, so Apex has almost been out for 4 years, and 4 years in gaming is a very long time for a game to be out and still be successful, still have a healthy fan base. If you look at games like Call of Duty or Fortnite or even Overwatch, right? After the 4-year mark, all of those games pretty much lost a ton of players, right? Of course, Call of Duty is a different story because they actually have new games every single year. So that definitely keeps the game a lot more fresh and a lot more interesting. But it definitely isn't something new. It isn't something unheard of for a game to lose steam after 4 years or even 3 years, to be honest. With that said, there are still some things that Apex is doing to contribute to this loss of players. One of the biggest reasons why so many players say they left Apex is because the game just doesn't feel as fun as it used to. It isn't as fresh. And again, the game has been out for almost 4 years, so this does make sense. Many players have been asking the devs to introduce more content, to bring more ways to play the game, because currently there's only really 2 ways to play Apex. You can either play ranked or pubs. Of course, arenas exists as well, but no one really takes arenas too seriously, and I don't think arenas is a big enough game mode to really keep players invested for a long time. So let's just talk about the Battle Royale for a sec. The BR for Apex has pretty much remained the exact same since launch. Of course, now we have duos, we also have new maps, and we also have new legends. But outside of new legends and new maps and the introduction of duos back in 2020, the game overall has pretty much been the exact same since launch. Now, this is a good and a bad thing. The good thing is that Apex has always had very good mechanics, the gun play, the legend play, despite the lack of content and despite the unwillingness from the devs to really make any serious innovation with this game. The core gameplay and mechanics have always been a big plus for Apex Legends, but that by itself just won't be enough to keep players engaged, especially with so much competition now. And this brings me to my second point. Apex so far has been able to be uncontested because there's not really any game out there that does what Apex does. Now, even with that said, many players have still been leaving Apex to go play different games like Modern Warfare 2, which was recently released, and Warzone 2 drops next week. Overwatch 2 has also been a very successful game in recent weeks. So even though these games don't really directly compete with Apex because the gameplay by itself is so different, if Apex simply isn't offering up enough content or giving players enough reasons to come back and play, of course they're gonna play different games. And we can see this right now because so many Apex players have switched to Overwatch and Modern Warfare 2. And not just players. Some of the biggest Apex streamers like Asu, It's Timmy, Lulu Lovely, they've all pretty much started playing different games outside of just Apex. And of course, these streamers always used to experiment with different games before, but it's much more noticeable now. They spend a lot more time playing different games, and if they do play Apex, it's only for a couple of hours. So I think what Apex needs to do is really find ways to bring their player base back and to keep them engaged, because right now, the content is dry. The same cycle that Apex has been using for the past 4 years most likely will not be enough to keep these players engaged for much longer. We need to see more surprises, more content, things we don't really expect Apex to do. I think if the devs move in that direction, then Apex should be fine, but if not, we're going to see a lot more players leave as well. On the flip side though, competition is actually a very good thing, because if Apex and the devs see that all of these different games have been so successful, it most likely will trigger some kind of response. Maybe Apex would step their game up. Maybe they'll even get some more resources from EA to implement even more drastic content ideas. So even though competition right now could be a bad thing for Apex because so many players are leaving, it could be turned into a good thing in the long run if Respawn acts accordingly. accordingly. Now the third reason why I think Apex is losing so many players, especially right now, is because of trends we typically tend to see going into November, into the holiday time. If we look at Apex's history in terms of player numbers, we tend to see player dips around this time. So it also isn't completely surprising. But I still do think that towards the end of season 14 going into season 15, we also saw a general player dip in this game that really had nothing to do with this trend. I think players simply weren't as invested in Apex around that time. So even though we could say that Apex has lost players because of these trends that tend to happen every year, I still feel like this year is slightly different because players just don't seem as interested in this brand new season. But all hope isn't lost, guys, because Apex is still a very successful game. As I said before, it still has a very loyal and dedicated fan base. All the devs really need to do is just take the right steps and give the players what they want. And I think you guys could also help in this by leaving your suggestions any way you can. For example, this YouTube video, leave your thoughts down below on how you think Apex can improve and what Respawn can do to make this game even more fun for you personally. But also, if you're on Twitter or Reddit or any social media app, feel free to leave your thoughts and suggestions on how to make this game better in a respectful way, of course. Don't go and tell a dev to kill themselves. That's not cool. Be respectful, of course. But Respawn actually might listen to your advice, so who knows? You might as well try. But with that said, that's it for me today, guys. Hope you enjoyed as always. Don't forget to leave your thoughts on Apex down below, and I'll see you guys in some more videos. Till next time.